I don't know how I'm ever gonna get used to watching myself. Before the video starts, I just want to celebrate that I just reached 100 followers on my Instagram account, which I'll link right here. It might not be a huge number, but it's a celebration in my mind. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I want to keep this momentum going. Today we're making pan de ube, which are Filipino ube-filled sweet rolls. They're delicious, they're extremely easy to make, simple ingredients, and you can eat them for breakfast or enjoy them as a snack. These are going to be a real treat, and I'm sure they're going to become one of your favorite new pastries or just breads in general. But what is ube? Well, let's find out. Well, for those of you who don't know, ube is a sweet, bright purple yam which originates from Southeast Asia and is often used in Filipino cuisine. Ube can be mistaken for taro, and though the two roots are similar, taro is often found to be less sweet and to have a more gummy texture compared to ube. Ube has a much deeper purple color compared to taro and is much more commonly used in desserts because of its sweetness. So now that you know a little bit more about ube and you're nice and excited, I do have to let you know, unfortunately, it's pretty hard for me to source ube in my city, so I'm going to be using a substitute, which is something you might have to end up doing as well. So today for my substitute, I'm going to be using an Okinawan sweet potato, which looks a little something like this. The Okinawan sweet potato is definitely a lot easier for you to find in grocery stores, but it doesn't have the same exact flavor of ube. So another really cool ingredient I want to share with you is this. This is Ube Extract. Now you can find this pretty easily in most Asian markets, but in case you don't have an Asian market near you, if you look down in the description, I will put an Amazon link there so you can grab your own ube extract, which we can then add to whatever substitute we're using for our ube, whether that be an Okinawan sweet potato or something else, and it will give us that really distinct ube flavor, which pairs so well in this sweet roll. So essentially what we're going to be doing with our sweet potato is we're going to cook it and process it down into a thick, smooth, creamy jam that's going to go inside this nice, buttery, fluffy, sweet bread roll. These are just really amazing, you guys. So I'm really excited to get started. I hope you guys are too. Let's go over our ingredients, but before we do that, I need some coffee, so I'm going to do that first. So I'm gonna go ahead and apologize ahead of time for the really terrible lighting. I know it can be a little bit jarring at times, but I'm just working with what I have in the kitchen here, plus a little bit of natural light. I really wanna work towards getting better lighting, but not quite there yet. Until then, thanks for bearing with me. Cheers. All right, let's go over these ingredients. All right, now that we have our ingredients, the first thing we're gonna do is preheat our oven to 400 degrees. Then we're gonna take our washed yam and a fork, and we're gonna stab this thing all over, pop it in the oven, and we're gonna let it roast in there for about 50 minutes. Here is a hot tip for you guys. Take a knife and score the sweet potato, score it all the way around, and that'll help us pull these skins off really easy later. So you might be thinking to yourself, 50 minutes seems like a long time for that potato to bake before I get started. But we're actually gonna work on our dough in the meantime. Okay, so to start the dough, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my milk and my yeast and I'm gonna combine them together. Make sure your milk is warm, not too hot. It should feel like bath water. And we're gonna let that sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's gonna start foaming up. That's how we know it's ready to go. Once the yeast is going, let's go ahead and grab our butter. I'm gonna melt this down in my microwave. And once the butter is done melting, we're gonna add an egg to that along with our sugar and we're gonna whip it up. See if I could do this one-handed. Booyah. And here's what we're looking for. So we've got our wet ingredients together. Let's have a little check-in on our yeast. And you can see it's kind of starting to foam a little bit. I can tell it's doing the right thing there. One thing to keep in mind, if you're activating yeast with milk rather than water, milk has a higher fat content, which can lead to the yeast taking a little longer than usual to start foaming up. But I could tell this yeast is doing the right thing. So if this happens for you, don't freak out. It's normal. It's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. All right, so now let's take our dry ingredients, which is the flour and the baking powder. We're gonna mix those up really well, and then we're gonna add both our yeast mixture and our egg mixture to that. Let's use something like a spatula to combine that really well. All right, so this is the egg and butter mixture going in. And so once that's loosely incorporated, then we can go ahead and add our yeast mixture. Pour that right in. Make sure you scoop out all the extra yeast hanging out at the bottom of the bowl. And mix that together real well. So I'm going to flour my work surface here, put the dough out, and we're gonna knead it for about 5 to 10 minutes. All right guys, so that dough was so sticky before, but after adding just a small amount of flour and really working it well, you can see my hands are fairly clean and my surface is pretty clean. That's because this is picking up all of the extra flour and such that was on the table. So I'm gonna form this into a nice ball, something like that. Now, I'm gonna take my clean bowl and a little bit of butter, and I'm just going to butter this entire bowl, something like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and place my dough ball in there, and then we will cover with a clean towel. All right guys, so now we're gonna take our dough and we're gonna go ahead and let this rise until the sweet potato is done baking. And here's a cool tip. You can take this and carefully put it on top of your oven while the sweet potato is baking, and the residual heat will kind of help that dough rise a little quicker. This lighting is getting pretty crazy, you guys. I feel like I look green. Check on our potato. It's looking pretty nice. All right, so our potato is done baking. It looks really awesome. I'm just gonna let this cool until I'm able to handle it without burning my hands.
3 hours later.
So because we made this nice cut all the way through, all I really have to do is kind of twist this apart. Now look at how bright and vibrant that purple is. It's insane. So I'm just gonna scrape all this out. The goal is to not get any skin in this filling. All right, so here is what the sweet potato looks like. It is so purple. So with our Okinawan sweet potato, we're gonna add in about 1/4 cup of sugar and 1/2 can of coconut milk, along with about a teaspoon of our Ube Extract. This stuff will totally stain your hands, so try not to get it on your hands. Tastes really good though. So now I'm just gonna take a fork and I'm gonna mash this all up. All right guys, so once that is fairly well incorporated together, we're just gonna bring it over to the stove and I'm gonna pour that right into a saucepan. And we're gonna get this on a nice low heat and just cook it out until it starts to thicken. So just a quick note, I ended up using my immersion blender to speed up the process of breaking the potato down. If you'd like to, before the mixture gets too hot, you can actually blend it in something like a blender. This will really help break up the potato and smooth everything out so it can cook down into that paste a little quicker. So my ube jam is all blended up. Now all I gotta do is kind of cook it down till it really thickens up into a nice paste or a nice jam. Almost forgot to mention, make sure to keep stirring, otherwise the mixture might burn. All right, so let's get a little bit of an update. This has thickened up quite a lot. You can see how it doesn't come off the spoon as easily. So the ube mixture is looking like it's in a super good spot. So I'm gonna pull the pan off the heat completely and just let it cool down quite a bit before I'm ready to work with it. All right guys, so the time has come. Our dough is ready. Our ube mixture is all cooled down. Before I cut into this, first I'm gonna deflate it a little bit. We're gonna give it a nice punch. All right, so now I'm gonna drop the dough out of the container and we're gonna go ahead and slice this into 2 pieces, equal size. So now that we've got these, I'm gonna go ahead and roll them both out until they're a rectangular shape and I want them about 1 centimeter thick. Okay guys, so this is a fairly equal size now. I'd say it's probably about 9 by 13 inches and it's about 1 centimeter tall. So now I can go ahead and grab my ube filling. I'm gonna spread one nice clean layer over the entire dough and then we're gonna roll it up like a cinnamon roll. And here is what that is looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and take these and I'm gonna put them on a parchment lined baking sheet. Let's give them some nice space to breathe and to bake evenly. I'm gonna go ahead and cover these with a clean towel and we're gonna let them rise for about 15 minutes and then they're ready to go in the oven. The last thing I'm gonna do is optional, but I'm gonna crack an egg, whisk it up, and get a little egg wash on top of the pan de ube before I bake them. All right, my friends, these are ready to go in the oven. They're gonna cook at 350 for about 15 minutes. I'm getting so impatient. It smells incredible in here. Don't you just wish you could speed up time? Okay, so the timer just went off. I think they're ready. I'm gonna pull them out of the oven. I can't wait to see them. They've got such a nice, sweet and buttery aroma. It's filling the entire house. I cannot wait to eat these. All right, guys, so these are finally nice and cool. I'm gonna dig in and give them a try. Let's go for it. Let me first of all say how happy I am that you guys could join me in this moment. Here is the lucky contestant. I'm gonna give this thing a nice big old bite. So you have the ube filling, so creamy, really decadent. It's sweet, but it's not overpoweringly sweet. And that creamy, smooth texture is contrasted so well with the fluffiness of the bread, the pan. Guys, we did it. We did it. We started from the bottom, now we're here. All right guys, so that's gonna wrap up this video. I just wanna say thank you so much for joining me on this journey in making the pan de ube. They turned out seriously incredible, and I really hope you guys are excited to try the recipe yourselves. If you are interested in grabbing the recipe, it's going to be down below with all of the ingredients used. Now, if you're watching this video and you made it to the end and you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. Even if it's something as simple as a single emoji, it helps my general growth here on YouTube in a pretty big way. I appreciate all of you guys, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Later.